You go? Yep. Fantastic. Have a good meeting.
Thank you, sir. Jen, can you let us know when we're good?
Yep,
Good.
we're good.
Okay, so good evening. Welcome to the January 9th meeting of Scituate Conservation Commission. Sorry for the delay, a little technical difficulties. A couple of quick things to read here. This meeting's being held virtually as an alternate means of the public access pursuant to Chapter 20 of the Acts of 2021, temporarily amending certain provisions of the open meeting law. You're hereby advised that this meeting and all communications during this meeting may be recorded by the town of Scituate in accordance with the open meeting law. Second piece is town of Scituate, Mass commitment to diversity, equity, and inclusion. Scituate Conservation Commission is committed to providing an environment of respect during our meetings. We ask all members to interact in a polite manner, even when there's a disagreement. We value the participation of our community and want all participants, including marginalized, minoritized communities, to feel welcome and respected. We ask our committee members and all who participate to commit to these standards and support and respect our community. Thank you. So, we will,
Any add-ons to the agenda?
maybe just one little comment at the end, regarding status.
Okay,
Okay,
so I'll make a motion. We accept the agenda as written with Frank's add-on.
thank you, Penny. Do I have a second? And actually, who do
Richard.
we have tonight? We have Richard, Doug, Penny, Jen,
Yep.
You.
and me. Okay, great. Okay, so I got a second from
Yep.
Richard. All in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes. We were voting on the agenda.
And Jen.
And Jen.
And Jen, oh, wow. Very
Harsh.
sorry.
Harsh.
All right. It's a little
trouble.
frazzled here.
I
All
feel you.
right. All right. So we have 0 and 40 Crescent Ave. This is an ANRAD. It was continued from 12/4/23. Do we have somebody from Grady Consulting?
No, they've asked to
They're gonna-
request to continue to January 29th, so I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Second,
From Penny, all in favor, Doug,
Yes.
Jen,
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Thank you. 2 Bailey's Island. I guess they've also requested a continuance to January 29th. So somebody make that motion.
yep, so moved.
And then a second
Second.
from Doug, all in favor. Richard?
Yep.
Jen?
Yep.
Thank you. 37 Surfside Road. So this is and this is Ross Engineering.
And it does need to be opened.
I'm just looking for the.
Barb.
Bear with me for 1 second here.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you. On January 8th, 2024, 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Mass General Laws, and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Thomas Kimball for work related to elevating a single-family dwelling at location 37 Surfside Road, Scituate, Mass. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting is available on the agenda posted on the town website. Good evening.
Hi, Frank.
Hey, Paul, how are you tonight?
Good, thank you. Good. This is Paul Marabito from Ross Engineering Company, representing the applicant, Thomas Kimball. The applicant is proposing to elevate his house in accordance with the FEMA grant program. And the existing house at 37 Surfside Road is proposed to be on a wood-driven pile foundation. The structural plans have been submitted with the application along with some architectural plans that were prepared by Rockwood Design. The ocean side of the site is in a FEMA flood zone, elevation 16, that's the velocity zone. However, the work on the house will occur in a zone AO with a 3-foot depth. The proposal is to set the top of the pile at 18.1, which is 2 feet above the FEMA velocity zone. That results in a first floor elevation of approximately 20.0, which is about 8 feet above the existing grade. What they're proposing to do is to put an open deck around the 4 sides of the house. There'll be a larger of the decks will be on the ocean side, as shown on the site plan. There's no changes in the proposed grading. There will be 2 sets of stairs coming down from the open deck on the south side of the house, both in the front and off the rear deck on the ocean side. There'll be a silt sock installed around the perimeter of the work, as shown on the site plan. Once the order conditions are issued, the applicant is going to apply to FEMA for the grant money to elevate the house. This is pretty straightforward. So I think with that, I'll end and answer any questions the members may have.
Thank you, Paul. I'd like to take off on this one first. Doug?
Um. wait a minute,
Actually,
I
can I ask
lost
you a
my
question?
au- my-
Paul, do we
my-
have any plans for the piles?
Yes, there's a set of structural plans that are submitted from Rivermore Engineering.
Yeah.
There's
Okay.
one. Yeah, there's 3 sheets to the set.
Okay, I'll find them in a second. Okay, sorry, give Doug a minute here. Okay,
Having some video problems here. I can't see the screen.
You can't.
It got really tiny.
Oh,
It's like so tiny. I can't, it's like the size of a little, let me just
I'm
go to
gonna
the
switch.
next and I'll
Yeah, you
yeah,
work on
just-
that. Jen?
yeah, let me get this fixed here. I'm not sure what's going on.
I was trying to do a little research while we were talking. Is this a new owner, or we've previously had some violations at this site a couple years back? So it's just trying to look at some of the history.
The deeds, let me look at the deed. The owner purchased this in September of 2021, just over 2 years ago. It was purchased from Thomas, Kevin Thomas and Tracy Thomas. And the current owner is Thomas Kimball. So he's owned it just over 2 years.
Yeah, I can't remember if that's the same one. There's just a history with this site. So I'm just trying to figure that out. But I mean, in general, like definitely on board with raising homes. I think I'm just trying to track like the site in general, because there's a fair amount of alterations. Like the AstroTurf patio, I don't believe was there, like the concrete patio was. So just trying to a little distracted by some of that stuff.
Yeah, I don't know when the AstroTurf patio was installed, or the concrete patio.
Concrete patio I know was there because I used to know one of the older people who lived there. The AstroTurf looks like it was installed in spring 2022. at least around then based on satellite images.
That's not really pervious.
No, and it looks like there's other patio work. Based on the satellite images, you can kind of see things shifting around. So I'm just distracted by some of that. But in principle, I love an elevation plan, and and I'm just looking at some of these other things like you know, the landscape timber wall. You know, we don't permit walls. So I'm a little distracted.
Okay, why don't I shift Jen and then we can circle back to that, okay?
Yep.
Richard?
Yeah, well, Jen took some of it. I was wondering about the AstroTurf because I don't remember that being there before. And Jen's right. I don't remember when, but I know we've dealt with this location before. And also, wondering when the timber wall was also put in. Without either. Don't have a problem with the current project itself. AstroTurf, I know from professional experiences, is it's like cement. The water just sits on top or runs off. It does not permeable. So we ought to keep that in mind. I'm presuming that the piles are in the right places and all that. I can't see the diagram and I can't. I don't really have a problem with the decks as long as the stairs aren't worth worrying about too much. I guess what I'm really saying is I think there ought to be something put in here. I don't know where, or because of the AstroTurf and things that happened.
Okay. Kind of without the benefit of any
I know it's
enforcement
hard.
folder tonight. So all right, well, let's keep going to the other members. And then we'll circle back. So Doug is not, I think Doug's in, but he right now he does,
Yeah,
uh,
no, I'm back in now.
okay. Are you good with
Yeah,
everything?
Yes, everything's fine. I just had to leave the meeting and come back in. So it's all magically repaired itself.
All right. I don't know if you had the benefit of hearing anything, but right now we're
Yes,
questioning some of this other things here.
Yeah, so I'm glad I did hear that because I you know, as far as a raise and rebuild, I really don't have any issue with this proposal. I did look at the pile plan was in the email packet, so I was able to look at that. So it all looked pretty straightforward, but then you guys are talking about some other things that I was unaware of.
I'm leaving.
Okay, bye, Penny.
Yep, I'll be
Yeah.
back.
Okay.
Good.
So yeah, so that I guess those things are all concerned if there's been work done. But if we don't have an enforcement order currently, not sure what we do about that.
Right.
This is a full NOI, so we could make some conditions if we thought that was appropriate.
That's one of the ways to handle that. We can,
Based on satellite images, it looks like the timber wall was put in between April and July 2018. So it definitely predates this owner. So I still don't love walls. So it's definitely not something we would want. But the increase in impervious as it relates to the backyard is definitely this owner.
Right. All right, let's open this up to the, did I hit everybody?
Yes.
So do we have any, anybody, that wants to comment on this?
Karen Canfield has raised her hand.
Yep,
Let's see
Mr.
that.
Snow, you do have a hand raised. I'm gonna ask them to unmute. There you go.
Okay,
Ms. Canfield should be good.
Frank?
yes, good evening.
Oh, hi. Hi, guys. Karen Canfield, 39 Surfside. I am calling as the abutter to this property. And I have to say, Jen, you're absolutely right. The prior owner had some violations with impervious material that was rectified. The current application, the elevation, the only the only objection I have to the elevation is they're gonna look into my bedroom, but that's okay. It's within FEMA. The AstroTurf is within the elevated portion of the patio, partially cement, and he actually takes it up in the bad weather times. So I don't really think he's increasing impervious in that regard. And you're right that the railroad tie board preceded this particular owner. And I have to say that they've been exceptionally good at being stewards of just maintaining the property and not, they wanted to add a whole bunch of cement and they're like, oh, we can't do that. So they've been really good stewards of what their responsibilities are. The only question I have is not you guys, is if they're gonna wrap the deck around, I think it exceeds the property. They're gonna go to the property line, which I don't think they can do, but that's outside of conservation. So I just wanted to give you a little history on that. And, I'm the next door neighbor and I have no objection to this proposal.
Thanks for filling us in on a couple of those spots, Karen. Thank you. I'm just looking at Paul, do you want to speak to the size of the decks?
Sure, the decks are allowed to go to the property line, but they're not doing that in this case. It looks like a 4-foot deck on the
Inside.
on north side of the house. The deck appears to be a 4-foot wide deck. And on the right side of the house, there's an existing covered entryway. And that'll also have a deck going up to it. That looks like an 8-foot wide deck. And the deck behind the house is, I don't have a scale with me, but that's probably 16 feet. That's probably 12 to 16 feet out from the back of the house, which will also be on piles. The decks, again, are not going to the property line. The open deck on the side of 39 Surfside Road, the plan shows it being 11.4 feet off the property line. And there's a set of stairs that's coming off the deck because the house is being elevated.
Okay.
I might add too, on the plan, we show the areas for impervious area calculations. There's no increase in the amount of impervious area because we aren't adding any more impervious area than what's there now. We're simply picking the house up and leaving everything else on the site as is.
Okay, thank you, Paul. Do you know, Paul, if the AstroTurf just sits on gravel? Or is that a patio, or any idea?
I don't know the answer to that, Frank.
Okay. All right. Do we have anybody else in the audience for this one? And we don't have any Anybody else want to speak to it? Any other members?
Frank,
Again.
the only thing, I'm sorry, it's Richard, but the only thing I
Yeah.
would add is if that astroturf is sitting on concrete already, then there would be no change except that it was added, if the concrete was already there.
It's not, it's, the concrete is limited to that square. The
Okay.
rest of that area was gravel and is now, like
Then I,
paver patio or AstroTurf.
yeah. Then I think that's something that has to be answered somehow. I'm not sure how. I wouldn't necessarily hold up a house for it, but I think we're gonna put something in
I think
I'm
it's,
Go-
Go ahead.
I think it's tricky because I really appreciate what Karen is saying and that they're good stewards and all of
Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
It's really hard because I think there's, if we start letting people do things only when the weather is nice, then it's, like you're depending upon somebody to remove their inappropriate item before, like the weather changes. I mean, in this case, like maybe based on calcs, like they can afford the extra impervious, but I still wouldn't want to condone that as a temporary impervious area.
I agree with you. That's where I was going. Exactly.
So you're thinking, are you talking about the AstroTurf? Are you thinking
Yeah.
that's pervious?
No, it's not.
So
Not
I think,
pervious.
it sounds to me like
That's
the,
impervious. I was imagining
It
that
is
roll
not
out.
pervious.
Huh.
I had put in many astroturf fields in the old days. It's not pervious.
so I guess, I mean, it sounds like the folks that have this house now and inherited some violations from the previous owner. The landscape wall, the issue is, does it deflect water back onto a neighbor or something like that? We're not hearing anything from that abutting person at number 35. At least I haven't seen anybody. And then we have conditioned certain things on decks and whatnot that they have to be removed at a certain time. I'm kind of drawing a blank
Mhm. And
as to where we've done that, but I know that we have conditioned on occasion
have
some,
in Humrock and in other places where they've had decks going to a wall, we've asked that the decks be moved off in the winter. And in many cases, I know for a fact it's happened. They do that.
Yeah.
And
so we,
from what Karen said, she said that she thought the astroturf was moving up.
Jen, how do you feel about a condition that would state that would have to be picked up? I guess I don't have a lot of benefit of knowing that much about the site. And I do think we could put something in the orders to the effect of kind of rectifying a couple of past violations if we think we need to.
Yeah, I mean, I think that makes sense. I just don't want to, I think it's a slippery slope in terms of saying, sure, you can have this AstroTurf as a temporary impervious area. So it's like, I would just want to be like, we are considering this permanent impervious. So like considering that part of the calculation for what's impervious.
Was that calculated into that, Paul, the AstroTurf, do you know?
Yes, there was.
As calculated as part of the impervious surfaces?
Yes.
Okay.
Frank, yeah, if I can just say something about that, a landscape timber wall in the application, there's a series of photographs, and the photograph in the upper right-hand corner shows that landscape timber wall. It's actually supporting the abutter on the opposite side of the property, which is the grants. Yeah, I mean, if that was to come down, that might weaken the wall that the grants have on their property. You can see the timber wall on the locust. That's before the commission tonight, and then you can also see what looks like a timber wall that was built on the abutters property. You know, assuming the waves go straight back from the ocean towards Surfside Road, that existing timber wall is, I think, is benefiting the abutter as far as stabilizing their wall
I see.
in the bigger storms.
Okay. All right. Anybody else have any comment, questions?
Well, just to follow up to that, Paul, I thought you said there was no increase in impervious.
Right, we put the calculations on the right side of the plan. We show the existing impervious area is 3,524 square feet. And the proposed is the same. We aren't adding any impervious area because the house is gonna be elevated. And we aren't changing anything at the ground level. And we
Okay,
assume
but-
the
but-
astroturf and concrete was impervious.
Okay, but you're calling
You're
the
considering that
AstroTurf
existing.
existing then,
Existing impervious, right?
but in
So-
actuality, it's something that the
I mean,
homeowner put down
yeah,
on
and-
this property, so if it's we don't
Yeah, I
have a
follow
separate
you.
number for we don't have a separate number for the AstroTurf. I mean, it honestly
No.
surprises me that that's pervious. I thought those
It
big
isn't
little holes.
pervious. It isn't pervious.
Huh. I mean, yeah, right. I get
It's a-
confused. We need two different words, not.
It doesn't let water through.
So,
Yeah, I would have thought it did. I thought they had little holes in them.
well, I think it probably depends on the quality of what you're installing. Like if you're installing turf on a football field, like that's maybe different than something you roll up in your backyard.
Okay.
But I'm guessing I'm not, I have less expertise in turf than probably everyone. But maybe the answer here is like, yes, this is a project that theoretically, makes sense. We're all in favor of it. However, the calculations need to be redone to support that the AstroTurf is proposed as opposed to existing because it is not approved.
We have, if that was proposed, we'd still be under the 25% increase in the stormwater bylaw, just looking at it.
Sure, but I still would want the plan to be reflective of
Hey,
what's the case.
showing the astroturf is being installed now as opposed to 2 years ago. And let the stormwater areas reflect what you're saying.
I think so. I mean, I'm not sure if anybody else
Makes sense,
disagrees with
Jennifer.
me. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense.
The only
But it-
thing, the only thing that concerns me in this area is what's allowed to be added for impervious areas in this resource area as opposed to our stormwater bylaw or anything like that.
The stormwater bylaw doesn't talk about what type of surface you use. They only differentiate between pervious and impervious.
Well, yeah, what I'm saying, Paul, I think is that I'm not sure you could condition that patio in that location. I'm not sure the commission could condition that.
Yeah, I don't know what was there before that patio. There's the concrete patio and the astroturf patio. I'm not sure what's underneath the AstroTurf, but if it's concrete, maybe it was part of the overall concrete patio that it was pretty common out there behind the seawalls, but someone mentioned earlier in the meeting that they thought that the AstroTurf was taken up during the winter months, which would probably make sense because that
Karen
is a
Karen
velocity
mentioned that.
zone. Yeah, that isn't a velocity zone. So,
Right. Well, I think at this point we have two options. We can close this. We've discussed most of these pieces and would have to look at trying to put that into the orders. Or, and one of them could be that we just want Paul to give us some additional calculations showing the AstroTurf area, separate that when it comes to the existing.
okay.
Because I'm assuming that that's, you picked all that up, so it is existing on the site. I think what we have to decide is if that's something that we should address as an enforcement, whether that has to be changed or not. Or can we have that as part of our orders that it does get changed? And we can talk about that when the orders are put together. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
Yes.
it does to me.
Okay. My hope would be that we can close it and deal with that one way or the other.
Should I make a motion to close it?
I would take that if you felt that would be good.
So we don't have a DEP number for this one, I don't think.
We
Um,
do.
oh,
It came in
okay, got it.
today.
Okay. So I make a motion to close.
Okay, that's Jen. Do I have a second
Yes.
from
Thank you.
Richard? All in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Great, thank you. Thank you,
Okay,
Paul.
thank you, Frank. Thank you. Good night.
Good
Good
night.
night. Now we're on to 127 Turner Road on January 8th, 2024, 6 p.m. The Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of William, Papa, yeah, sorry.
A wonderful
Papa-
Greek name,
Papa
probably.
Papadopoulos.
Thank you. For work related to elevating a single-family dwelling location 127 Turner Road, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting is available on the agenda posted on the town website. I'm not, I just can't imagine being in first or second grade and having to write out my last name. So we have somebody from Morse Engineering.
Yes, James Garfield, Morse Engineering.
Good evening.
James.
Good evening, everyone. So I'm here tonight representing the applicant. This is a notice of intent to elevate an existing single-family dwelling to bring it into FEMA compliance. The lot is approximately 3,008 square feet in size. It's abutted by the Atlantic Ocean to the north, developed residential properties to the east and west, and Turner Road to the south. It's in land subject to coastal storm flowage, being a velocity zone, elevation 19, and FEMA flood zone AE, elevation 15. For reference, the topography on this site is at elevation 12. So we're elevating the existing single-family house. So the first floor will sit at elevation 23, with the lowest horizontal structural member at elevation 21. A concrete structural pier design has been prepared by Rivermore Engineering and has been provided within the NOI. And a proposed FEMA flood certificate is also attached within the NOI. Additionally to raising the existing dwelling, we're also just proposing new stairs, essentially just to access that building once it's been elevated. DEP had no comments on this. And again, the purpose of this project is simply to bring the existing structure into FEMA compliance. So with that, I'll pass it back to the commission for questions.
Thank you. All right, Doug, your stuff's up and working, so why don't you have at it first?
Is this on sewer there, James? Public sewer?
It is, yes.
So my only question is the plan shows the first floor elevation at 18.3, but the V zone is 19.
I believe that's the existing house. So we're gonna raise that up so the first floor sits at elevation 23.
Okay.
On the right side, Doug, you can see where it says the proposed lowest horizontal structural members at 21.
21. Okay, thank you. So that goes all the way up front. Okay. Yeah, it's just the V zone's at the front part of the house, so I just wanted to make sure that was clear. Okay. And now what happened to our graphic? Did it go
Ha ha ha
away?
ha. We're zooming.
Zoom. There it is. It's back.
You
So
got one?
yeah, no, I can see the plan now again.
I can't.
Can you guys? You can't?
I cannot.
All my
We're having a
PDFs
funny
closed.
night.
I'm trying to
I-
reopen them.
I can see it.
Okay. So is this the existing house, James, just being elevated? Or
It is, yes.
Okay, so there's really no real additions because it says no change in impervious land area. So yeah, it seems pretty straightforward. So and those piles are allowed?
I
Or
believe
do they
so.
have
It's
to
gonna
be-
it's gonna comply with building code and also bring the house into FEMA compliance.
Yeah, I did just know if they had to be, because those are concrete piles, right? So you're
So Doug, the question that's
instead
come
of
up,
wooden driven.
the thing that's come up with this before is in the case where people do not have an alternative. Excuse me, to driven piles. So in this case, it seems to me like this is gonna be raised, right? It's not being torn down.
That's correct.
Right.
So you're elevating this house. So in this case, you have a house on the left, you have a house on the right, the ocean is to the east and then turn a road to the west. So there's no place for that house to go but up. And then they
Right,
have
and then
to,
you work underneath it to pour the piles.
correct.
Yeah.
So in that case, we've allowed those. It's been debated, but it was the conclusion in the past has been that well, this is the only alternative, that this is a better scenario than doing
Yeah, they'd
nothing.
have to move the house entirely away from the site.
Right.
So yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense.
Okay.
Okay. Those are,
We have,
I
that
think-
was Doug, Richard,
I don't have any questions. I'm good for it.
Jen, do
I'm good.
we have anybody in the audience? By the way, Jen Smith, I'm still looking at the word Zoom. Luckily, you gave me all the plans.
Okay.
What do I need to do?
Hover over this.
Should,
Yeah, click on that, click there. Okay.
Wow, look at that. Back in. Guys didn't even know I was gone because I don't have a camera. I'm sorry, do we have anybody in the audience for this one?
I don't see anybody raising their hands.
Okay, James, one quick question. Do you know what the bottom of those footings are?
I'm sorry, off the top of my head, I don't.
Hmm.
I know we provided the structural plans though, so I'm not sure if that would be shown on those.
Okay, what I'm wondering is, and we could probably put this in the orders, but you know, the concern in these locations is scour, and that these be placed at a certain depth. And I think that's something we'll just put into the orders.
Okay, that sounds acceptable. Yep.
Okay. All right. I can't think of anything else. I'd take a motion.
I make a motion, we close 127 Turner Road.
That was Jen. How about a second?
I'll second that.
That was from Doug. All in favor. Richard?
Yep.
And Frank, yes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now we are at 15 Bassin Lane. On January 8th, 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Jennifer Askew Trust for work related to constructing a detached garage at a single-family dwelling at location 15 Bassin Lane, Scituate. Abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information and access to virtual meetings available on the agenda posted on the town website. And this is Morse Engineering again.
Yes, so again, James Garfield, Morse Engineering, here tonight representing the applicant for this project. This is a notice of intent for construction of a detached garage. It sits at 15 Bassin Lane. The lot is approximately 31,454 square feet in size. Currently developed with a single family home that was built in 2020, as well as a shell driveway, sport court, and shed. A portion of this property lies within the 100-foot buffer zone to a coastal bank. There are no areas of land subject to coastal storm flowage on this site or any endangered species habitat. We're proposing a 26 by 30-foot detached garage, which lies partially within that 100-foot coastal bank setback. The garage sits primarily within the existing shell driveway area, and a smaller portion of the garage lies within landscaping and existing lawn. So the entirety of where we're proposing this detached garage is previously disturbed areas. We are proposing a 12-inch mulch sock down gradient of our proposed work, and DEP had no comments on this project. So with that, I will pass it back to the commission for questions.
Okay, thank you. Richard?
Well, first, I don't have a problem with the garage, but I do have a problem with the location. Just wondering why James will be pulled, I guess I would say, forward a little so there's less of it within the 100-foot setback area. If you could get it all the way out, but it seemed to me it could be sort of as less of it. And I would love to see that if it's possible.
Okay,
Did
Doug?
anybody hit there? Okay.
Yep, yeah. Doug?
Yeah, I was looking back at the old plans were submitted here, the original from 2019, I guess. So has there been a COC on this site, do you know?
We
from what was
filed
done
a
before?
COC concurrently with this NOI application, but I don't believe that it's been brought in front of the commission yet.
Okay. So, and I guess one of the things I was looking at is that, it was a pretty significant build out. So what's that? I guess 4 years ago. And what I was looking for is if there's any, well, I mean, we're not really looking at any mediation or anything like that in here. And I was just curious of what was, if you guys, gosh, I've been here that long, so I should try to remember. Did we require anything? Yeah, I'm just wondering if we required anything then, for any kind of mediation that we need to make sure is done now. I don't really have a problem with the garage. But I think we are a little more apt to ask for a little more and when it comes to mediation now than we did then. So it's, I just wanted to put some thought to that, but I don't have any memory about exactly what we required in there, but I guess what I'm asking for is maybe we need to review the old conditions.
Okay.
when we condition this and make sure we've got everything covered. If a COC has been asked for, is that, James, does that mean there's an as-built plan already done? Or does this represent the as-built? Kind of looks like it does.
I believe that this plan essentially represents the as-built plan. I think it is a separate plan, but it just doesn't include that proposed detached garage area. I will note that, and this will come up when we go over the COC with you guys, but we did propose 5 ARC 36 leaching chambers to capture roof runoff partially from this, this dwelling. We are not aware whether or not those dry well chambers were ever installed, as we state in our letter of request for the COC. We were never called out for an inspection on those, but we've discussed in the office here, and we'd be totally open to maybe adding a condition to this approval, or whatever we need to do. Maybe we add, I think we originally proposed 5 dry well chambers at this site. Maybe we add a few more. Maybe we do 8, 10 dry well chambers, and we can tie the house and maybe even the garage we're proposing into those chambers. I think we've got the room to do it between that sport court and detached garage. So that's where we stand on it currently.
Well, thanks, James. That's exactly the kind of thing I was trying to quickly look through here and look for on the previous application versions. Now I see those, but we'd want to verify that those were installed or make sure they are installed. So thanks for that. That's exactly the context I was working towards there.
Yep.
Jen?
Nothing new outside of Doug and Richard.
Okay. Do we have anybody in the audience for this one? CNA. So Doug, I'm assuming you mean mitigation.
That's what did I say? See, it's the,
Mediation, mitigation, pervious,
Yeah,
impervious, it's all kind of,
the M word.
yeah,
That's what I meant.
they all
yeah.
roll together.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming, James, that this was a battle of contours is the reason that that's not pushed back further. Looking at this hill and where the driveway would have to go.
Yeah, that's correct. So, I mean, the further back we push this garage, the more fill we need to bring in on the back side of it. So you are correct. I mean, we're trying to give them enough space within the driveway for their vehicles, but also, as you stated, not pushing the garage too far back as to bring that much more fill and disturbance onto this site.
Can you see that, Richard, how that works? If the more that he pushes this garage away, not that that's our problem, but the more that they push that back, it's sitting in open air. So then they have to add more gravel or fill. And
Yeah, you're calling it back and I'm calling it forward, so that's
Yeah,
part of the issue, but
right.
no, I see from the contours what you're talking about.
Is the reason I was first trying to say, well, why didn't they just put it back there? And then I'm looking at this, these contour lines and realizing if that goes back, then they're going to be adding a lot more fill.
Well, you're thinking, but you're saying move it back more
Well, I say
towards the
more
shed.
towards the shed, correct.
And I was thinking of pulling it forward to more where that 34 is, to pull it out that way. I was going the opposite.
Well, if you come back towards that, you're going to be getting closer to the 50. Right now, it's between the 50 and the 100.
Well, it's in the 100, but I see your point. Yeah. No, I get the
All
point.
right. No, well, either one, they're both just things that need to be noted. So I do think that Doug's position about, getting this CFC, I don't want to condition another project if we don't have a house that's in compliance. So it's a little bit concerning. We're going to now add a condition that was a condition in our last orders that the folks didn't, that nothing got built on that we know of.
Well, we don't have to approve the compliance, do we?
No, but you know, we write these pieces and, you know, with the idea that we need, the reason that there's infiltrators and stuff, this is a sloping lot.
Yeah.
So all that water doesn't all wind up in the neighbors. And they've built this project and it appears, I mean, there's a letter along with their as-built plan, basically that's going to say it's either been built in compliance or it hasn't. So I think what James is saying is they have already noted that they don't know whether these are installed because they never witnessed them.
Mhm.
And it doesn't sound like in what I'm hearing is that they probably were never installed. So
So we're
now,
saying that if we approve this, we would make it a condition that they're installed now as part of this deal.
but my point is we already did that once and they didn't get built.
We have to see what condition our condition is in.
Exactly.
Whoa,
Thank
whoa.
you.
You're not going to sing that, are you?
I just walked in.
Jen didn't even find that funny.
No,
she's
no,
not
it's a
laughing.
bad reference. She doesn't,
Kind of a
she's
smile. but
never
not
heard
really
the song.
laughing.
Ha ha ha.
They're dad jokes.
It
Jen.
was, yeah. All right. Well, I'd be more inclined to think about whether we want to have some surety that those are going to get installed, and it might be in the form of if we're going to move forward with this and their certificate of compliance, that we actually want some sort of monetary surety for those infiltrators to get installed.
James, is it possible that they were installed? You're just not aware of that?
It is possible. But again, we were never called out for the inspection, so we really can't say.
Well, I think they can be in an order, but my point is, if they weren't done before, I'd like to have a little bit more guarantee that they're going to get done this time. And my way of thinking that gets done is we come up with a value for those, and that be part of the orders, and it has to be in an escrow with the town. That once those are installed, then we get proof of it, and then they can get their money back.
I think that sounds great.
Good idea. What do you think, James?
Sounds acceptable to me.
Again, do we have anybody else in the audience? I was just kind of looking over this plan really quickly to see if there'd be any meaningful mitigation. But I'm not really seeing that. Other than adding these infiltrators and additional ones to service the garage. So that's it from me. I'll take a motion.
I'll make
I
that
make-
motion. Okay, go ahead. You do it.
Nope, go ahead.
Well, I'll make the motion, but with the idea of your surety for the infiltrators, so get some money in hand, get them installed, so that
Yes,
they're in, and give them the money back.
Okay, so that's a motion from Richard. Do we have a second?
Second from Jen.
From Jed, all in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank,
And with
yes.
that, or they can also, I mean, beyond the
They can prove they're
surety, if they
installed.
can. Yes, right.
Yeah, I mean, if
exactly.
they can prove,
Whether-
or
whether
they can show us that these were installed, that would be great. But
Yeah,
Yeah, we'll look at that first, and then, you know, if not, the escrow makes sense. Yep.
okay. All right. So I had a motion and a second, all in favor, and yeah, we voted it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, James.
Now we're at 20 Newell Street on January 8th, 2024, 6 p.m. The Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 30700, Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Robert and Joanne Keough for work related to raising and rebuilding a single-family dwelling at location 20 Newell Street, Scituate. About Mass abutters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meetings available on the agenda posted on the website. And we have Morse Engineering.
Yep. So again, James Garfield with Morse Engineering here tonight for a notice of intent, 20 Newell Road, Street, for a raise and rebuild of a single family dwelling. This existing lot is 11,000 square feet, 11,250 square feet in size. Previously developed with a single family dwelling, gravel driveway, and on-site septic system. The site lies within land subject to coastal storm flowage, being a FEMA flood zone AE elevation 13. For reference, the on-site topography sits at elevation 7. The site's mapped within a barrier beach, dune being, within Hummerock. We're proposing to demolish the existing home, construct a new home on elevated timber-driven piles. The new first floor elevation will sit at elevation 15, bringing the home into FEMA compliance. Structural plans, as well as a proposed FEMA elevation certificate, have been provided and are attachments to the notice of intent. We're proposing no change to the existing driveway. It's going to remain the gravel driveway you see here on the plan. Utilities will be temporarily disconnected and then reconnected to the new dwelling. We're not proposing any change in topography. And we've also proposed a 12-inch mulch sock down gradient of our proposed work. DEP had no comments on this project, and should also be noted that Zoning Board of Appeals unanimously approved this project at their December meeting. So with that, I will pass it back to the commission for any questions.
Okay, thank you. Richard, this is your.
I know the lot well. I don't really have any questions. I'm just making sure I understand that the house is basically the same size. They're adding some open decks. If I got that correct.
It is a tear down, and a new house is being built, but it will be very similar in size to what's there today.
What's similar mean?
Richard, can you see he's got like lines with some cross hatching. So it looks like the house is moving back away from Newell Street about 10 feet. James, maybe you want to elaborate a little bit, but.
Yeah, I'm trying to pull up my plan right now to see if I have a footprint.
Because I think there is a footprint, the area that's kind of like got the crosshatch and shading.
Yeah, I can see that now. I got it, Frank. I'm
All
sorry.
right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sorry, Richard. I don't have an exact number in front of me. I could get that for you, but just eyeballing it, I mean, it looks very similar in size
Yeah.
to what's there today.
Yep. And I'm actually glad it's moving back because there's plenty of space back and not much space on the road. So that's probably a good move. No, I have no problem, but I am correct. They do not have decks now. Am I correct on that?
There is a deck off the back of the existing house. Yep.
No.
There's a deck and there's a brick patio off the back of the existing house. So, those will be removed, and we will also have, a first floor deck off this proposed house.
Yeah. And you're gonna you gotta get my own language right. Got it. No problem. See you later.
How about you, Jen?
Richard's good, I'm good.
Wow.
That's putting the pressure on. Thank you, dear.
Doug?
I'm okay with it. Though it looks, I can optically tell, there's not a great increase in footage. It would be nice if every time we have something like this that's a new dwelling in a sensitive area, that we just go ahead and include those calcs, but you can see that it's not greatly increased. Impervious, but yeah, no, I'm good with it. I didn't even need to say all
I
that.
have heard from the neighbors who I happen to know that they've seen this and they're very happy about it. That's
Good.
But I do notice on the plan in the zoning requirements is that there's a substantial increase in a gross floor area. So I'm assuming this house is a single story house and this house is going to be on piles and it's going to be a two-story house. But-
Go ahead, Frank.
But that's not in our purview. But if we have just saying it's a full two-story house and we cut that in half, it's very similar to the same square footage. If you follow my logic. The gross floor area is jumping from 1243 to 2320. So it seems to me like there actually might be a little decrease in the
Ground.
square footage of one floor. Or real, as Doug said, if you kind of just look at it, eyeball it, they're very similar. And that would make, then that, what they have there makes that concur to me. No, I mean, now this is all gonna have piles underneath it. Theoretically, that should drain a little better.
Yeah, well, in that area, they've got the issue from the river and the ocean, actually more from the river, the ocean, so it's
Right.
good.
Do we, in these houses, we didn't bring it up on the earlier ones, but we've been talking about the skirting,
Oh, sure.
just that it has to be spaced properly and whatnot, and we'll put that into the other orders as well. Okay, do we have anybody in the audience?
Big attraction.
Did I miss anybody want to add anything else to this?
Good.
Okay, I'll take a motion.
Make a motion to close.
Is Richard a second?
Second from Jen.
Yes.
Thank
Oh,
you,
yeah.
Jen.
Thank you.
All in favor,
Now I
Doug?
can vote.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
and Frank, yes. Great, thank you.
Great. Thank you, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks. You too. So 25 Palfrey Street. On January 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m. The Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under 131, Section 40 of the Mass General Laws and Section 30700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of Haruko Banks for work related to elevating a single-family dwelling at location 25 Palfrey Street, Scituate, Mass. The butters and other interested parties are invited to attend, and information to access the virtual meeting will be available on the agenda posts on the town website. We have somebody from Grady this evening.
Yes, good evening. This is Darren Grady from Grady Consulting.
Good evening, Darren.
Good evening. Frank, you opened this up as elevated, like elevating a house. This is actually a septic repair project.
I
don't know if you need to restate that but
should then. Thank you. Sorry. No, I'm
welcome.
just I'm reading what's in front of me. So regarding the application of Mr. Banks for work related to a septic replacement project. Thank you.
Thank you. So the project's at 25 Palfrey Street. There's an existing garage over to the left of the lot, and the house is the larger structure on the right of the house. The vegetation out here is somewhat mature and dense, and that's the tree line that's shown on the left side of the driveway, around the garage and towards the back of the house, and also to the right of the house. The only place for this system is right down the middle of the driveway, where there was very little vegetation. The resource area here is Barrier Beach, coastal bank, and land subject to coastal storm flowage. The septic repair is proposing the septic tank behind the garage and the leaching chamber system halfway between the garage and the house. We needed to ask the Board of Health for some relief on some setbacks to the garage slab as well as the crawl space, and those were granted by the Board of Health tonight. As part of the septic tank installation, we'll be disturbing some of the vegetation in the back that I believe is somewhat dense and mature. We're proposing to replace that vegetation on the right-hand side of the house along a wooden walkway. And we're also proposing beach plugs on top of the septic tank as well. We're proposing a silt fence as a barrier and the limit of work, both on the left-hand side of the driveway and around the septic tank and back where the cesspool's getting filled in. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them.
Oh, I'm good. Thank you. I'm gonna jump right to Richard again.
Yeah, it's on the south side of the center, maybe 4 blocks. I like the plan a lot because it is one of the few areas in Humrock it kind of taken care of what we would have asked for anyway, some mitigation for it. Technically I can't ask a lot of questions. Doug, you're wrong. But the rest of it's really good.
Okay. Doug, do you want to comment?
No, I don't have, is this a notice of intent or an RDA?
This is
No,
the notice of intent.
NOI.
It is, huh? Yeah, no, I don't have any problems with it all. There's, after it's built, there's no real grade change.
Correct.
Yeah, and it needs to be repaired. No problem with it.
Okay, Jen,
I'm good.
anybody in the audience? Darren, what's the surface of the driveway gonna, like, I'm looking at all those things that would denote stones or something. Is it a gravel driveway when it's done, or?
So that's so what I'm showing there in the hatched in square is the stone around the chamber system. The
Okay,
finished surface of the driveway will be sandy gravel, similar to what's there now.
okay. Richard, when you talk about this being vegetated, is it mostly grass or is it?
No, there are trees actually.
Really?
And a lot of bushes. It's one of the few areas on that side of the street, and it's on the south side, and there is more vegetation down there, except for up on the south. So, yeah, it's a little unusual.
Okay. I can't think of anything. Did you say the Board of Health was meeting tonight also?
They've already met and they've approved this project.
Wow. Okay. I'm good. I'll take a motion.
Make a motion.
That was Richard, second.
Second
I'll
from
second
Jen.
it.
Oh,
No, I
You-
beat
you-
you. I
you-
won.
no.
I won.
I would question that, but we don't have any way to replay it, so we'll let Doug have this one, Jen,
Doug
all
can
right?
have it. Doug can have
All
it.
right. All in favor, Jen?
Yes.
And Frank, yes. Great. Thank you. And now we have 20 Pleasant Street. So on January 8th, 2024 at 6 p.m., the Scituate Conservation Commission will hold a wetlands hearing under Chapter 131, Section 40 of the Massachusetts General Laws and Section 3700 Town of Scituate Code of Bylaws regarding the application of G&G Development LLC for work related to a septic repair at a single-family dwelling at location 20 Pleasant Street, Scituate. Butters and other interested parties are invited to attend. Information to access the virtual meeting is available posted on the town website. And we have,
Yeah, good evening. This is Darren Grady from Grady Consulting. I'm here on behalf of G&G Development. The project in front of you is a septic repair at 20 Pleasant Street. The existing system is in the back of the house. It's a cesspool that would be pumped and filled. Around the back of the lot is some border and vegetated wetlands with the wetland flags in the dotted line. We are proposing a septic tank and a leaching field inside the driveway area at the front left of the house. We're proposing a silt sock and limit of work, shown in red. Part of this septic repair, the system's raised and we are filling up against the house. They have a walk-in in the rear left of the house. We're filling in so much there that we got to add some steps. I've added a drain and a drain line proposed riprap to drain out the area of the walk-in. the riprap's outside of the 100-foot buffer zone. And it will drain by gravity with the elevation because the existing dwelling is elevated somewhat. The system is put in a location that's the farthest away from the wetlands that we could place the system and also access the lot through the existing driveway. So we will be driving over that system. There's an H20 loading septic tank and the system's H20 loading. It's oriented the way it is right now to allow us to get up on top of it and over it for the access for the driveway. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Oh, I haven't met with the Board of Health yet. It's January 28th.
Okay, thank you. Jen?
Maybe I'm missing it here, but what is the material of the current driveway?
It's a gravel driveway.
Oh, okay. So it will remain gravel?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I'm seeing it now. Remove and replace. Got it. I'm wondering, I appreciate how much everything is out of the 50 and pretty much even the 100, it looks like. Is this, I don't think I have anything else.
Okay. Doug?
Yeah, no real questions. It looks like kind of an expensive system, Darren. H20 loading for everything. And it
It's the
looks
only
like
place. It was the only place on the lot for it.
yeah, yeah. Well, and I see you had to go with the sieve analysis because you couldn't get it perked. It was too wet, I suppose.
It was wet. The material's tight.
Yeah.
This
So
is
yeah, you're
not
kinda
an
up
easy
against
spot.
No, I see that. Yeah, it's you're up against a rock and a hard place, but yeah, I don't have any problems with the plan.
Richard?
Good.
We have anybody in the audience for this one? It doesn't seem like it. I don't really see that. I think they did a pretty good job of getting something in this area, and I get it that they're gonna have to drive on it.
You have to wait for the BOH though, don't you?
Yeah. So can we? Yeah, I think we need to continue it till the Board of Health, just in case they throw you a curve.
Sure.
And then I think on this one, we want to note that we're not going to accept that wetlands line. You know, it's fine for this project, but it would not be a wetlands line that we would accept if someone came back with a future project.
Okay.
Right. Oftentimes we do that, you know, we want to say we got to do a septic, and it's not like that. But if this is the start of, you know, eventually this house coming down, and a more larger project was proposed for this, we would probably want to get the wetlands line reviewed. So we'll accept it for the septic work, but it's not we're not accepting the wetlands line, I guess, as part of this. Okay, that makes sense.
Yep.
Okay. Anybody else?
No, when should we continue it to?
Any idea?
You said the BOH was meeting the 28th, I assume.
Correct.
What's the meeting after the 28th?
Oh, it is.
Um,
Got it on mine. I
Well,
think.
I'm sorry, are they meeting
The
In
28th is a
February or
Saturday.
January?
Yeah,
January 28th.
I think
Alright, so
it's
it's probably
January.
January 29th, maybe?
Yeah,
And then,
28th is a Sunday.
I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Meeting on the
Must-
28th then. They might be
Must be-
meeting on the 29th.
Must be the 29th.
okay, that's our next meeting also. So then we have February 12th.
Can we close an issue?
We can't, we don't want to close this. Oh,
No, I
you're
mean,
seriously at
on
that
the
meeting?
12th, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, we could. Can that work?
On the 12th?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So I need a motion to continue this to February 12th.
I make a motion, we continue 20 Pleasant Street until February 12th.
And a second.
Couple
Is that Richard?
Yep.
All in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
What do we have now? So what happened here is my computer wouldn't work. So I'm sitting at Jen's desk. Jen's in the selectman's room. And there was a folder with some notes. Yeah, was there some notes from Amy? Did I not take those?
The next
But-
thing on our list would be order of conditions.
Yeah, hold on one second, okay?
Yep.
Yeah, let me give this back to Jen.
Yeah, her comments are down here.
Okay.
They're on there. So
All
like her comments for the request
Got
for
it.
the extension is 1 year.
Sorry about that. So we have orders for Zero Woodland. Anyone take a motion?
I
ahead,
make
no.
a
Go ahead.
I make a motion, we accept the orders for 0 Woodland Road.
In a second.
Yep.
That's Richard. All in favor, Doug,
Yes.
Frank, yes. How about a motion for 13 Hillcrest?
I make a motion, we accept the orders for 13 Hillcrest.
In a second.
Second, Richard.
All in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes. And then 453 CJC.
I make a motion, we accept the orders for 453 CJC.
And a second. From Richard, all in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes. We have a request for an extension for 167 Driftway Park. I think that's the expansion of the dog park. So I'm assuming that's for 3 years.
I believe Amy was suggesting 1 year.
Due for a year.
Yeah.
All right.
Make a motion for the extension for 167 Driftway for 1 year.
Second,
All in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Stick compliance for 780 First Parish Road. I think everything must have been in order there. Do we know that, Jen?
No, they need another year of monitoring their plantings.
Are they looking for a partial? Is this?
Yes, they are a partial, they're looking for.
So we could do that, right?
Yes.
Okay. And we don't even really vote that.
We
I
don't
mean,
vote that usually.
No,
Yeah,
it's
we
out
can-
there to be
all right,
signed.
but I think it's good that we float that here right now. Okay. So we can grant that. Anything else? Do we have
Well-
anything else this evening?
You wanted to bring us up to date on something.
Well, so I think you all are aware that Amy is now going to be with Mass DEP.
Hmm.
And so I think tonight with along with not having Amy was able to go through all of these, appreciate it, give us some notes and a little guidance on here, and we're going to be working towards getting things back in order. We also had the complication of some screens, which Jen mastered. Like I said, I'm sitting in her desk. She's in the other room. It's quite the evening here, but it all came together. So we'll keep everybody posted and onward and upward.
How do we get these conditions written?
Kenny's going to come in and write them with Jen.
They are
Oh,
already
okay.
drafted.
Awesome. Wow, thank you. Thank you, Jen and Penny.
Yeah, I think Jen and Amy worked out a lot of these, which we appreciate. And it'll be some the good news is the continuity here and Jen's knowledge of all these things can somehow keep us on the rails, I'm sure.
Are we, the town advertised for an interim? Is that what the next step is?
I really
And
don't
then-
know. I'm hoping to catch up with the town administrator and HR person and see where they are with this. But with the timing, it wasn't great with the holidays, so I'm not quite sure where things are at. But we'll
muddle on.
we'll figure it out. Yep. I think most of you are aware of it, but I just wanted to make sure you knew. So I think that's it for the evening.
Motion to
All
close the
right.
meeting. Go
Second.
ahead. Oh, okay.
So Richard had a motion to close, Jen seconded, all in favor, Doug
Yes.
and Frank, yes. Thanks so much. Have a good evening.
You too. Thanks so much.